Nope, Jordan Peele's newest movie. Man, Jordan Peele, just a freaking amazing director. I loved this movie. I can't even hold back. Like I'm giving like an early question because I just want to talk about everything with this
Yeah,
movie. Did you have the same experience? Did you enjoy Nope as much as I did?
I enjoyed Nope a lot. I think it's a really propulsive, entertaining movie. Awesome genre implications that if you're a film fan, there's so many things to recognize and appreciate about what he's doing. But even if you're not, there's just I think a real awesome energy to this movie, largely propelled by Kiki Palmer's uh, movie-winning performance.
Oh yeah.
And Jordan Peele still gives you so much to chew on thematically in this movie. You know, Get Out, Us, now Nope. He is just one of, if not the most interesting American filmmakers working right now, and one of, if not the best filmmakers of the 21st century,
Mhm.
2010s on, however you want to put it. He's rising that list, and I think the more movies we make, the more people he makes, the more people start to agree on that point because it's just the body of work he's putting in is just so impressive with how varied it is, and working with Daniel Kaluuya again, obviously from Get Out to now, always cool. Yeah, I liked it a lot. I actually saw it early due to just my own schedule in a screening environment. And my screening room, which was a packed IMAX too, cool. Got to see it in IMAX.
Nice.
Uh,
Shot in IMAX.
yeah, shot in IMAX. People loved it. You were hearing people audibly say nope when stuff happened. People had a blast, and
Yep.
there was clapping and stuff, and big laughs as well. I think that's what's also so great about Nope is that it's thrilling as a sci-fi movie. It has really witty humor. It has really scary moments. It kind of gives you everything. So yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah. I think where like my intrigue with the movie started off is right from the very first scene, right? Because you don't even know at this point it's from Monkey Paw Productions, and the first scene you see of the movie is this monkey on this TV set where it seems like something has gone horribly wrong, and the monkey's just kind of like coming down from this obviously elevated state and turns and looks right into the camera and I guess it's a chimpanzee. I should be like more clear. Yeah, but it's very like unsettling and off-putting. And I was like, oh, that must be like just a weird like production company choice for like how they advertise themselves as being of a movie. Because I was like, that's just doesn't seem connected to anything that we know about the movie from what you see in previews. And that coming back around and the like intention of the scene when you get it later and what it's trying to say about the larger story, but just that I think about society in general, I think is really, really interesting. I loved that as like the setup, and it really made me feel like the movie as a whole like it was very well thought out, which I think certain parts of Us, his last movie, kind
Mm,
of fall through, falter in ways and
yeah.
that where it's not as thought out or not as well conceived.
Lot mechanics specifically.
But I think the next time you get drawn in is the very next scene where Otis Jr. OJ, played by Kaluuya, has to rush his father to the hospital for just like things falling out of the sky, right? And like
Yeah.
right from that moment, you are just drawn into what's going on up there, right? And I don't know if you noticed yourself in terms of how you were like watching the screen, but I certainly noticed for me. We'll get into spoil this a little bit later, but there's a part in the movie where OJ kind of figures out that looking up isn't necessarily helpful for him. And so he starts
Yeah.
to put his head down more. And I found myself in the first half of the movie putting like looking up towards the top half of the screen more and then putting my head down more as the movie went on. I was like, wow, this is a sign that Peel
Yeah.
has just like this like master idea of like framework and how he wants to make the movie look and how he wants to make you
Right.
feel in the movie and that ability to like create the tension for you to be physically responding to what's happening and like that is something he does to a level that I don't think a lot of other directors
Right.
are able to do right now.
It's his first time working with Hoyte van Hoytema, the reclaimed cinematographer who done a lot of work with Nolan, among other people. And I mean, the movie just looks so great. Has that blockbuster quality to it. And if you
Mhm.
think about it, Nope makes sense as a COVID production. This is a movie that largely takes place out in the boonies of LA County, wherever we are outside LA. It's not a lot of people around, but it still has this like huge like vistas, and they look so awesome, you know.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, it's actually brought into the plot of the film
Mhm.
how the viewing of it works. I hadn't really put that together, but that makes that you don't see that that often. I think everyone knows that. Um, I think thematically, it's a movie that definitely requires a lot more to think about. I think Get Out, despite its brilliant, but it's also part of its brilliance that you immediately understand why it's so brilliant. You
Mhm.
understand thematically very quickly what's going on. Um, Nope, it's a bit more. I think requires you got to peel this banana a little bit to really grasp. I think
Yeah.
the comment. And for me, I had to think about it a little bit more because I wasn't really thinking about it as deeply while watching it because the movie's so entertaining and so propulsive and has such awesome forward momentum. You know, I saw some people saying that it has a bit of a slow start. I didn't really feel that though because
Me
I
neither.
was I was really picking up on it pretty quick. I think part of that again is Kaluuya and Kiki have awesome performances that really work well together. Where Kiki Palmer's is very extroverted
Mhm.
character, and DK is obviously very subdued in contrast, right? But I feel like as soon as they meet the tech guy, what's his name, Brandon Perea, who plays him,
Yeah.
uh,
Angel.
yeah, Angel. Once you get Angel coming in and just like being this really funny figure, I think, and like
Yeah.
him playing off the two siblings, and once like the movie starts, like the gears start to spin, you understand what's going on in terms of the plot itself, let alone the themes. It's like wow, it's kind of the edge of your seat stuff because I think it's just really thrilling and thematically, then you understand why things go the way they go. Right? I don't think there's like huge plot holes in this movie because like everything the characters do is like perfectly grounded in what they want to achieve, and that's
Yeah.
why they don't just immediately flee the scene and never return. So
Yeah.
I thought that was really well done too.
Yeah, I think the only critique, and I guess we might get into spoilers here. So if you wanted to tune in just to hear general thoughts, and now want to tune out, that's fine. Come back. Um, is the ending, and kind of did Peel land the plane in terms of what the point he was trying to get across? Because it seems like a lot of the movie, especially from the flashbacks to the Gordo or the Gordy chimpanzee going,
Yes.
berserk on the crew, is about like the exploitation of nature and how humans use and abuse nature and for their own gain without really thinking about how this may impact nature itself, whether that's climate change, the way the animals are treated or utilized within the film industry or society. And then at the end of the movie, they kill the creature. We don't know if it's an
Mm,
extraterrestrial or some other sort of creature from Earth that we're just not aware of. And um yeah, it kind of left me feeling a little bit confused as to what Peel was definitely trying to say. I think there's probably,
yeah.
and he's a director that doesn't doesn't spell everything out for you. So I think
Mm,
intentionally he might have done this too, just to like
yeah.
kind of throw you off the scent and try to make your own conclusion of it. What did you make of it though?
I kind of think I didn't really think of it from the nature side of things, but I think that was what makes the movie so interesting. Is there's a few different ways to interpret it and listen to how
Sure.
people think about it. But I kind of thought the more like cultural, racial implications that he brings into this, right? Obviously,
Hmm.
started with Get Out, continue with Us. Now here, I think it's a bit more like higher level, right? So, like I said, it's not so in your face that you understand it right away. Where in this one, they do a really pronounced job of explaining who this family is. Actually, descended from uh, Murbridge. I forget the first moving image, the first movie in a sense, which was a black man riding a horse,
Edward
a black cowboy.
Moybridge.
Edward Muybridge. They're the descendants of Edward Muybridge, and they have such great pride in that. And yet, they are still, like many minority groups, not having that true seat at the table and having to sell their horses to get by, right? And really struggling to achieve what they want to do. And I really enjoyed how they kind of position this whole thing where it's like, oh, we're going to capture. undeniable proof of an alien of some kind. And why are they doing that? They're doing that to get money, man, so they
Yeah.
can
Get on
keep this
Oprah.
business going, to be real ones. That's why they're doing this. It's so real. It's such a
Yeah.
real reason to do something like this. That's why they want to abandon the house, because they don't want to abandon the house. They want to save the house. They want to make the ranch bigger. They want to live. I just was really taken with that. I think another thing, I didn't really catch it myself, but I saw someone say where Keith David, who plays the dad, who I didn't even know he was in the movie. That was probably announced, but to me, I was like, "Oh, Keith David's here. That's awesome. That guy has an amazing voice." Still, um, he literally gets killed by a coin hitting him in the
Mm.
head, a token, if you will.
Mm.
Quickly after
Wow.
this, we meet Stephen Yun, who, as a child actor, was playing the token minority character on a sitcom. And then when we see what happens with Gordy the chimp, Gordy perhaps had a kindred spirit in a certain sense with what he saw in how Stephen Young's character was treated. That's why he didn't kill him. He's killed all the white people, the people in power. It's like that was the stuff that I think I picked it up on. Then when you really make the
Ah,
connections, like I didn't really think of the token myself, but like that, I think that stuff is really makes sense. But then you have other pieces, right? You have the director guy who I think he makes a really charismatic impression in a small role, and the way he's going about this, or his reasons for wanting to shoot this, and then his reasons for sending himself to certain doom.
mhm.
It's quite different from the reasons that M and OJ have. And then even Stephen Yun. It's like Stephen Yun. I think he kind of presents this like position on like combating your own personal trauma, but in the process, you're kind of like losing your own soul, you know? Like he made
Yeah.
the whole like
Exploiting yourself almost.
Gordy Museum in a certain sense. And later on you have the TMZ guy show up on the
Oh, yeah.
motorcycle. And like, there is a bit of a comment on like how people make content in quotes.
Mhm,
So like you said, Peele will not spell it out for you. He won't clarify it later. But
mhm.
the fact that he can imbue so many of these complex ideas that take some thinking, and they do make sense. It's not like this is just nonsense. Like they do, everything makes sense. You just got to think about it for a second. You have all that in a movie that is also super propelling and well acted and looks amazing.
Yeah.
Like, what more do you want? You know?
Yeah. No, I completely agree, and, you talk about, like, how beautiful this movie is, and, like, there's so many scenes that just stand out. I think, first of all, obviously, as you mentioned, where this ranch is and this valley, and, I think it's supposed to be California somewhere, right? I
Yeah.
believe.
It's LA area, they said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable, just, like, how they found this location, just how
Right.
gorgeous it is, but then you have this house, and, I mean, man, one of the scenes that stands out most to me is that nighttime scene
Oh, yeah.
where the creature is, like, he is, I guess, he's being exploited by Jupe, Stephen Yeun's character. He eats all the people watching, or sucks it up into his body and
Yeah.
starts to eat them,
Oh, he ate him for sure.
and then he drops them onto the house that OJ and M live in, and the blood running down that house with the lightning lighting it up, and also the "I wear my sunglasses at night" slowing down when the magnetic field or the electric field is being taken out.
Mhm.
Man, I mean, that is like Peel giving so many homages to like different horror films just in general right there, but I just thought that was like incredibly propulsive, and like the images there are just like stuck in my brain. Another one that I think is like incredibly like stuck is like when uh OJ figures out like that if you don't look it in the eye or in its mouth or whatever it is, that it will kind of like leave you alone or like go away.
Right.
And that scene of like Kaluuya's face so close to the camera looking, and then you just see it behind him like hovering.
Yeah.
Oh man, like it just burned into my brain. So amazing.
Totally. I think they do a really good job too of setting up this alien,
Oh yeah.
this beast. You start seeing it like through the clouds, like in the shadows and stuff. And then when they
Flashes.
put you to that point where like that cloud hasn't moved, you're like, that's a fake cloud. It's like holy shit. It's like a terrifying realization, right? And then
And
by
it
the end, it's just this huge beast, and like when it's like openly in the open, trying to
Yeah,
eat stuff and chase people down and stuff. And then the very ending, right, where it's kind of like opening itself up and becoming this kind of unintelligible form, right? It's like
yeah.
also has
Ribbons.
a beauty, and
Yeah,
natural beauty to it as well. Yeah, ribbons, right? So
really
uh,
loved it.
totally. Yeah, actually, did you know that Jesse Plemons turned down a role in this movie? Uh, for Killers of the Flower Moon, Scorsese, obviously tough to fault him for such a
Yeah,
choice. I would assume that was probably the Stephen Yeun role. Really
probably.
don't know where else he would fit in the film. Maybe he was the comic figure.
Maybe. I don't
Jesse
think he
Plemons
would have
does
worked
have
as
a
well.
bit of humor to him, maybe a different kind of humor though. I thought they did a really good job
Yeah,
with Angel. Um, I love the scene where they fail to get the shots because of the praying mantis. That just awesome way to have true audience tension and
totally.
fear for your characters.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I thought for a second this movie was going to go in a really lame direction, which I should have given Peel so much more credit. But that scene when they don't really know about the creature yet, and OJ sees the little gray men in the barn, I was like, oh
Mm,
man, is this really going to be just like a traditional like Martian movie? And I
yeah,
was like, I don't know. And then it turns out to be something completely different.
yeah,
When OJ's like, I don't think that's a ship, or he's like, it hasn't moved, and he's like, uh, that's not a ship. Like I'm
yeah.
just like, oh
Nope.
man, like what is this? It's just so well conceived, and like you said, the way it works on so many different levels. I just like I don't know a director that is able to do what Peel does to the effectiveness that just makes you think like this, right? Like we don't typically have conversations one about horror movies to this level, but I think just about movies in general that have this many layers of meaning. And then I think we haven't even really gotten into it, but like Kiki Palmer in this movie
Hmm.
just completely steals the show. And Kaluuya's character OJ is a bit more reserved, a bit more internal, and I think he plays the part really well, and their dynamic is great. But Palmer gets to do a lot of the like heavy lifting on screen, and she just absolutely crushes it.
Totally. This is her biggest blockbuster role ever. She's been famous, been an actor publicly for a long time, 10 plus years, but this is like a true coming out party in a certain sense. It's weird to say that because she's so famous and so well liked, and makes big moments in culture all the time. Sorry to this man, she just did it again on the press tour where she didn't know who was in the X Files,
Yeah.
and Kaluuya and Yun did, and she was like, "And who are they?" or something. It's like she just basically did "Sorry to This Man" a second time. She's just and genuinely too. Like she's so great. But yeah, this role really gives her a chance to show off just her charisma, and then later on, like her action chops too. At the end, she does a fucking Akira slide on the motorcycle. It's awesome.
Amazing. Yeah, and she starts off, she enters the movie with this like anxious ball of energy kind of coming in and having to like give the spiel about who like why they're there and the safety of the horse and everything for the movie. And that monologue, she just is so electric and you're just like,
Hmm.
"Oh man, like we're on one now." But man, she delivers some of the funniest moments in this movie. That when the cinematographer shows up, Michael Wincott, and he's talking about how he's going to capture the image, and he's like, I brought a non like electrical camera or whatever, and
Yes.
she's like, what did I say? He was going to bring a non-electric camera. They start dapping each other up. I burst out laughing. I thought that was hysterical. I've been thinking about that moment too since I saw it because it just was so perfectly timed, and Kaluuya and her have such a connection that moment. You really buy them as like
Yeah.
siblings. It's really wonderful.
Totally. Yeah. This movie had a strong box office, but it's noticeably below Us, and I think that's to be expected. Us coming off Get Out, Nope coming off Us, which is well liked but more polarizing, right? That
Mhm.
being said, this is still the best start for an original studio film since a movie called Us in 2019. So hard to be too critical of how this movie's doing.
Yeah,
And
I think it's also sorry, before you go on, I just want to say Us
yeah,
had maybe the greatest like movie trailer ever. Like that and like the first Black Panther. Those like the
yes,
music matched with like the scenes that they chose were like
yeah, the
got people
dun
really hyped.
dun dun dun,
Yeah, the
yeah,
slowed down five on it, amazing.
yeah.
Sorry, what was your second point there?
No, yeah, I think curious to see how well this movie legs out because I would like to think word of mouth would be strong because I do think it's pretty entertaining. Doesn't have an A cinema score; it's in the B's, so that's like it's not really a horror movie, so I don't know how to couch a reading of a score like that. But yeah, I mean, regardless, I think Jordan Peele clearly 3 for 3. Um, no word on what his next movie is, as far as we can tell. But he does a lot of producing too, which we've talked about
Yeah.
before. He's a bit more up and down in the stuff he
Mhm.
produces, but so are many people. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the big takeaway with Nope is it's not what you think it is,
Yeah.
and it's not easy to predict. But once you understand what it is that you're watching, it's like wow, it's like there's really a lot to stew on, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I think the big takeaway for me, at least in terms of Peele's career, is just how with Get Out, it felt like he was going to be a very pure horror voice, which he might be, but there was a lot more Spielberg influence in this. This is
Mm,
very Jaws or Close
yes,
Encounters type feeling than it is something like from John Carpenter, I'd say. And
yeah,
so when you think about that, it's like maybe we're seeing him like start to expand the kind of director he can be and the kind of stories that we're going to get from him, or at least like how the movies will be. Because, like you said, this isn't a pure horror movie; it's more thrilling in a lot of ways. There's definitely some scary moments, and I think that just opens the door for even more potential for Peel, which is hard to say I
yeah,
expected going in because we already kind of thought the sky was the limit for him. But
right.
man, just awesome to see. So
Keep making original movies. I'm sure IP gets thrown in his face constantly, but he
I'm sure.
it seems to be pretty good at saying no. So let's hope
Well,
that
he was
continues.
doing the what was it, the Twilight Zone stuff. So
That's right.